Welcome into the coach's office. We got a great show for you today as we welcome in Joe Case of the West Green Buffaloes football team.
And it starts now.
The following is a special presentation of the coach's office.
I never punt on Madden.
Go Noles.
I don't even know what roll tide means.
I mean, let them in. What is there to lose?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. Glad to have you in here. Why was everyone so concerned with the outfield play for the movie to be called Angels in the Outfield?
Where'd you get your shirt? Foot Locker? Uh-oh, Murphy's calling.
And now your hosts, Kyle Donahue and Matt Ripley.
How's it? Welcome into the coach's office. We've got a great guest today for you. We've got the head coach of the West Green Buffaloes, Coach Joe Case. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Fantastic. We're happy to have you in. Could you go ahead and start out our little time together with your coaching journey? How did that all get started for a young Joe Case?
Well, I started coaching at Greenville High School with Fred Searles in football. Actually, when I did the student teaching, I helped John Morrell in track and kind of got my feet wet a little bit when I was student teaching, and then worked summer school and walked into Gene King's office one day, and Fred Searles was in there, and Fred told me to have a seat, and Gene looked at me and said, "How would you like to be the next teacher in football, assistant football coach at Greenville High School?"
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
And that's kind of how it began.
What was it like getting started out? I mean, did it take some adjustment for you as far as, I know young guys starting out as an assistant coach trying to figure out their niche, so to say. Did it take you a little while to adjust?
Well, it's always adjustment. I think the biggest thing as a young coach and young coaches, hopefully you'll learn over the years that you don't know all you think you know.
Yeah.
So you got to learn, you got to listen and learn a lot. And I was fortunate enough to be around some great coaches there and some great coaches along the way to learn how to handle things.
That's pretty good.
So from Greenville, tell us how we got to West Green. What's the
Well,
track
actually, after at Greenville High, I was actually in driver's ed one day, and we were driving through campus at Tusculum College, and seen Coach DeBusk out there, and talked to him for a second, and he asked me if I'd be interested in coming out there and work a little bit. And
wow.
So I was a graduate assistant there for about a year, and then I left there and was fortunate enough, got called a phone call one day and asked me if I wanted to come to Cotton County. And so I was at Cotton County for 3 years and was a defense coordinator over there my last year. And then I got a call from Morristown West. And at that time, when about, I guess 3 or 4 years after Don Woods had been down there starting, they called me. We'd beat them in the regular season. And Don said he wanted me to come over and coach with them, and got started down there, which was a great learning experience down there with a great coaching staff and learning how ins and outs work down there, and I learned a lot of X's and O's and things and adjustments and stuff down there.
Were you always wanting to be a head coach as you're going through all these different stops, and you're in the back of your mind? Are you thinking head coach is what I eventually want to get to?
Well, it'd been there actually when I was teaching and coaching at Greenville High School. I'd always thought, I said, I wouldn't mind being, working at one of these little county schools here as a head coach one day and seeing what we could do. And fortunately enough, opportunity came, and I took the opportunity. And it's been a learning experience as you went, but being a head coach is tiresome and a thankless job at times, but it's worth it if we're helping kids.
No doubt.
Awesome. So when you first took over, West Green was your first head coach job?
Yeah, I've been a head track coach at Morristown West for about 4 years.
Okay.
So I had a little head coaching experience as far as that goes, but my first football head coaching job was still is at West Green. Funny story as that goes, when I was working with Don Woods, we went to a coaches show at Texas Roadhouse in Johnson City, and all the area coaches had come down, and I was listening to them and wasn't knocking anybody or anything, but I looked over at Coach Woods and a couple of other coaches, and I said, if these guys can be head coaches, I know I can be a head coach. And Don Woods said, "You're right," and it kind of put a little plug there and gave me a little bit of confidence that I probably could be able to do that. But you live and learn, and was fortunate enough to have the job I have right now.
So when you took over, was there a point in which you had I'm now the head coach moment, kind of moving, I'm not the second guy in command, I'm now the big guy. Was there a moment like that for you?
Well, I was transitioning. I was finishing up at Morristown West, and we were trying to have spring practice at West Green. And to be honest with you, I wasn't officially hired yet. I just went on that they said that I was going to be, and I was doing both. And we had a lot of kids going to the state track meet at Morristown. Had some really good kids, and I didn't want to do them any injustice, but I didn't want to do West Green any injustice, so right. I'm sitting out there, leaned up against the field goal post there, and I thought, what in the world am I doing here? Because I realized, hey, I'm responsible for these guys, and I've got to get them going. And we were a long way from where we needed to be, because I just come from Morristown West, where we had tons of athletes and great kids and great support system, and money really wasn't a big deal there. And,
right.
We just had a couple of kids that had went to one that actually signed with the University of Alabama, and, Austin Peay, several really good schools. And you come from that into a program that hadn't had very much help in a while, and you got good kids and some decent athletes, but a lot of them didn't know what to do. So, that's that was a big thing. Hey, I got a lot of work to do, and I'm responsible for it. So,
do you have any advice as far as like a young coach kind of getting started in his career, but also a coach that might be stepping into that head coach role for the first time? Also, just kind of some advice that you've gotten from your journey so far.
Number one, you don't know everything. Bar none, that's the biggest thing I say for young coaches. They need patience, and they need to listen to some of the older guys. I think that's key for getting into coaching. Working hard and listening is key, just like in any job, to be honest with you. I think that's key. But one thing as a head coach, and, I love where I am right now, but if I had to start over, and, find a place that's got a great feeder system.
Right.
Find a place that is maybe a one-horse town where you only have one high school maybe, or you're not competing for, this, that, and the other as far as money goes.
Yeah.
That would be a big advice for a young coach coming up. I think that's key because you need to find a good support system, not only with your administration, but with your community. And usually when you get to a community that has one school, you get a lot of support, and you got a lot of people expect a lot of things. Try to find a place that has a lot of tradition if you can. Sometimes you can't work that out, and you have to go with what you have. You want the opportunity to feel the good Lord wants you to be there. But that's some advice I would take. I would give young coaches: get somewhere that's going to support you, get somewhere that you've got great coaches. Also make sure you got great coaches, because coaches are the key in developing athletes. And don't always have a yes sir attitude about you, listen and stuff, but also voice your opinion and thoughts, but do it in a way that you can work together with other coaches.
Yeah, that's good advice. We're going to take a quick break. Again, this is Coach Joe Case of the West Green Buffaloes. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Natalie, and I hope you all are enjoying this episode of The Coach's Office. I'd love to have you tune in to my show, Classic Throwback, where I talk all things retro and pop culture. Find my show on your favorite platform and hit the subscribe button. And check out my website, classicthrowbackpodcast.com.
We're back with head coach of the West Green Buffaloes football program, Joe Case. And Coach, we move now into your football program aspect of this. And what to you makes a quality football program?
Oh, well, you got to have great coaches. I mentioned that before. You got to have great coaches, great support system from your school administration and your system. You got to have great support from your community. Whereas when I say that, you need to have kids that are bought into the program and that their parents are bought into the program. And
Absolutely.
That's key, because if your parents are bought into the program, they understand what you're wanting and what your community's needing. I think that's something you got to have. But another key thing you got to have the horses to pull the cart. And I heard, like the old saying, it's hard to win the Kentucky Derby with a mule. You got to have the horses that can run.
That's a good point. Yeah. You can definitely tell, like, if you look around, I know we play a lot of different teams. When you look around, you can definitely kind of see different support levels, you know what I mean, with different teams.
Buy-in and everything.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Maryville High School and look at what they've done over years. Great support system, money, athletes, great coaches. It's, kind of, they call it Title Town and stuff like that. I've known Coach Quarles before he went to Furman, and the young man that's coaching Coach Hunt down there now, he does a great job. And, that's a perfect example of, kind of a model to go by.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one of the key phrases, one of the key words, pop words that come out around a program is culture. Could you talk for a second about what it takes to create a culture, to build a culture, to keep a culture moving forward within your program or within a program?
Expectations. You got to have expectations. It's even now, it's, going in my 13th year, finish my 12th year. I've had to adapt and learn, with things, and try to keep pushing forward and try to develop myself as a coach. A lot of times we can get complacent, and it's easy to do, and your kids get complacent, and sometimes we were mentioning young coaches. Sometimes you need some of those young coaches that can get in there and get a little enthusiasm, and you need some fire. But good leadership's another thing. If you can find good leadership with your kids and try to develop that, which is it's getting harder as far as, the biggest thing. Another big thing is communication. Our kids' communication skills are nowhere near where they used to be. So leadership is kind of tough. It's almost like pulling teeth sometimes. You try and develop it, but a lot of times they just got to have it.
Yeah. So do you do anything for leadership? I know we're trying to at Chucky Doak do a little something to bring out some leadership. Do you guys do anything special?
Well,
specific?
we've had Sergeant Fine from the Army National Guard come in, and he's doing some leadership stuff with us and team building type stuff. Weight room, trying to do that. I've learned you can talk to your blue in the face, because the kids, as far as a head coach, they hear you all the time. So sooner or later, it just tunes out. But sooner or later, those kids have got to develop, and they've got to want it. And a lot of times, your better teams are teams that are close knit, and you'll see that those close knit teams, they want to do things and get better and work harder. And fortunately, I think we got a pretty decent core with that this year with our team coming up. We got a lot of great kids, that I've seen a little bit during the off season, more than I've seen in a few years.
Well, being a county kid myself and seeing West Green just growing up and not always being at the top, but then you come in and you've made them a multiple county championship team, a playoff team, very tough competitive team. What was that transition like for you, making that program believe that it's a winner and really making it something very competitive?
Well, the big thing's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's, for me, if I try to overthink or try to put more stuff in, and sometimes you got to do some things, but the simpler it is for the kids to simplify and the expectations, it helps so much. When I played at Jefferson County years ago, I learned, we were going to run the outside there, inside there, quick pitch, and tight end dump. If we did those things, that's basically what we did. We throw a slant in every now and then, and maybe a throwback go to the ex receiver, but that's what we did, and we got good at it. when you have expectations for those kids and get good at it, and I'll be honest with you, last year, I did a terrible job coaching in the beginning of the year because we were trying to do all types of stuff and trying to do things. And toward the middle part of the year, we just kind of got back to just lining up and run the power, run the sweep, and doing those things that, we've done in the past that were really successful.
Yeah, it's hard to – less is more, and that's hard for some coaches to really grasp. I mean, you try to get those core plays down and just really get good at those things, and people don't realize just really, I mean, you watch even collegiate football and professional football, they're running the same play just out of different sets. I mean, they just try to make it as simplistic as they can.
Well, if you've ever faced me before, I'll run multiple sets, but it's basically the same play.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a little bit more of advantage with another person to one side or another. Just try to take care of some things.
Awesome. So wrapping up our interview, a last question for you: What makes the football program out on the range at West Green? What makes that program special to you?
Well, we put a lot into it, and we got a lot of kids that have been before us that have come back and they've asked, and how's it going, Coach? I wish I'd listened to you here a little bit more. It means a lot to me. I miss it. Those are things that makes it special because, building relationships and seeing those kids. I know we've got several kids that are in the military. I had a young man that never even played except for special teams, and even up to when he graduated. But when he was going out on missions in Afghanistan, he would always wear his West Green weightlifting shirt.
That's awesome.
And he sent me a message one day while he was stationed over there and taking care of us back here. He said he wears his lucky shirt. He sent me a picture of it, and it was a West Green football shirt.
That's
so
cool.
Things like that make it special.
Absolutely.
Even as an assistant coach, looking back from the places I've been, the kids I still talk to and see how they've grown up and had the families they have. It makes it pretty special, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that does sound pretty special, Coach, and we really appreciate you being on, and good luck with the West Green football program and going forward, and we really thank you being here.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll just say one thing before I get off here. One things that reasons I got into coaching, and you was talking about young coaches, do it for the right reasons. I felt like God led me into teaching and coaching, and that's the reason I'm here. And a lot of times we get out of focus and think it's all about winning, which, winning is what it is about. But, winning in the right way and doing things the right way, that's key that's key. And I think that's what the good Lord put us here for.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great, Coach. Well, we'd like to thank you for joining in today.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the wrap-up.
Matt and I would love to hear from you inside the coach's office. Join us on Facebook at the Coach's Office or on Twitter at coaching_office. Tell us some topics or things that you'd like for us to discuss on upcoming episodes. Also, if you're on Google or iTunes, go ahead and hit the 5 stars. Now, it's time to head back inside the Coach's Office.
All right, we'd like to thank Joe Case of the West Green football team for being on with us today. Be sure to check us out on our website, coachesofficeshow.com. Make sure you check us out on all our social platforms, on the Twitter, coaching_office, and then, of course, on Facebook and Instagram, the Coach's Office. We enjoy having you here. Also, any coaches out there that would love to be on the show, we'd love to have you on, so make sure you email us at thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com, or you can just contact us on any of our social media sites, and we'd love to have you on talking about your journey and your program.
Again, we'd like to thank Coach Joe Case of the West Green Buffaloes. For Matt Ripley and myself, Kyle Donahue, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and if you're the last one out, make sure you turn off the lights and lock up the gate.
This has been a presentation of the Coach's Office, produced by Quotable Productions.